Hi, welcome back to Introduction to Nature Journaling. Today's going to be all about leaves. Leaves are terrific subjects for nature journaling. There's no two the same, and they're a good subject to use when it's the sort of day when you don't really want to spend time outdoors too much. Now, I usually try and encourage you to do your nature journaling out of doors, because then you get the great benefits of being out in nature. But today in southeast Queensland, we've got a westerly wind blowing. It's about 6 degrees, but it probably feels like about 2. Some of you from other parts of the world are probably saying, oh my goodness, you're so soft, you know, you don't even have snow. But look, yes, I am a bit soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some leaves, take them inside and talk you through drawing some leaves, and also talk a bit about botanical terms and that sort of thing. This is a great exercise for Australian conditions, because in Australia we usually have leaves wherever we go, and leaves in Australia are quite long-lived. So a lot of our trees have leaves that hang on for a couple of years up on the tree, and then when they fall they don't break down very quickly, so you usually can find some leaves somewhere. So I'm going to go and find some leaves. Maybe you should pause this video and go and find some leaves too, and try and find about 6 or 7 leaves that are all a bit different, and then we'll go ahead with drawing them. Okay, let's go. Okay, so here's the leaves that I've found around my place. I'm pretty lucky, I've got a diversity of leaves. This beautiful big one, and this smaller Banksia one, and then this is a Wilkia, a wattle leaf, which has got this really groovy thing on the end, some sort of insect egg case, and a eucalypt leaf. So I'm going to get my sketchbook, and I'm going to sketch with an ink pen, but you can sketch with whatever you want, a pencil or whatever you have at hand, and just start drawing. And you don't have to, it's up to you how much detail you want to capture. So something like this, I mean, I could spend like a week drawing this leaf. Look at the beautiful details of the veins, and all the spots and everything like that. But my style is sort of fairly simplistic for this exercise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the shape, the outside shape, and these main veins on the inside, and just capture that for the moment. But it's up to you how much detail you want to capture in your drawing. So just take your time, enjoy it, and draw a number of leaves on your page. So how did you go? Have you got a few leaves on your page? This is what I ended up with. And the way I managed to fit all those different size leaves on the page is that some of them I drew life size. So you look at this acacia leaf, that's pretty much the same size as the leaf, and that's not a leaf, but we'll get onto that a bit later. And because it's the same size, I've put in ×1, so that's 1 times, you know, equal to the life size of that leaf. Now with this big lobe leaf, that's quite big, and the only way I could have fit that onto the page with all the others is to draw it a bit smaller than it is in life size. So I reckon that's about 1/3, might even be 1/4 of life size. And so what I've done here, I've written 1/3 times, which means 1/3 of the life size. And this little wiggly line is meaning, well, sort of, okay, maybe, about, not exact. So yeah, so this leaf is from the flame tree, Brachychiton acerifolius. You may be familiar with them in the springtime in some parts of Australia, covered in red flowers. They're often planted as street trees and park trees. And I've also written the family. Now, the more you get into botany and nature and that sort of stuff, you'll realise that plant families are quite useful to get to know what plants are in what families, because they often have similar traits. And so you start recognising the family maybe even before you recognise what species it is. So here's the Banksia, which is this leaf here, 2/3 size. I've written, look, I'm not sure what species this is. I think it's Conferta, and when I'm not sure, I know it's a Banksia, but when I'm not sure what the species is, I put a question mark in front of the species name. So I think it's a mountain Banksia. That's in the family Proteaceae. And in terms of how you figure out what things are what, when you're doing your nature journey, you may not be interested in knowing the names of things. Some people aren't, but I find the names, if you learn the names of things, well, it's a mark of respect, but it's also leads you into more stories of that thing. So it's a doorway into many stories about the thing you're looking at. So if you're in Southeast Queensland, this is a fantastic reference for identifying plant species. Might be a bit tricky to find in shops, but look for it online. You'll be able to buy it online. So that's Mangroves to Mountains. This is the second edition. It's published by Glenn Leaper and others. Terrific book. So, but in your part of the world, depending on where you are, there'll be different field guides that are useful to you, and you just have to find out what they are. So yeah, going through this, so I've got my Wilkia here, the acacia. Oh, let's talk a bit about the acacia, because actually no, we'll talk about that in a minute, because I have to talk to you about something else first. And the eucalyptus here. Okay. So we'll zoom in on the eucalyptus because I've labelled a few features of the leaf on this one. So the first thing you notice is maybe this large vein running through the middle of the leaf. That's called the midrib or the mid vein. When you're looking at the next size veins, it might be a bit indistinct if I hold this close to the camera, but the next size veins are called the secondary veins, and with the eucalyptus it's usually they're branching out like this from the mid vein. All eucalypt leaves have got a marginal vein. I don't think my camera will be able to pick up this, but it's a tiny little vein that runs along the edge of the leaf. So if you're looking at a eucalypt leaf, try and find that and label that. And then the stuff of the leaf that's sort of the rest of it, the flat bit, that's called the leaf blade. The stuff that's not the vein. And very importantly, at the end, the stem of the leaf that attaches it to the rest of the plant is called the petiole. And you'll find, leaves have different sizes, shapes and sizes. That's why they're so interesting. Let's get back to that acacia leaf, which is not a leaf at all. Now, if you're watching this from Australia, these are two types of plant that are really important in our ecosystems. They're not in all Australian ecosystems, but they're in a lot of them. So if you can learn to recognise a eucalyptus and acacia, you're doing well. Of course, the other name for acacia is wattle, and they're the ones that have their yellow puffy flowers in the winter, springtime. So in many parts of Australia, you'll be able to go out and find wattle flowers right now. I'm recording this in July. So what we've got here is not a leaf at all. It looks like a leaf, but it's called a phyllodes. Phyllodes. And what it is it's actually this petiole part that's been modified to look like a leaf. So a lot of acacias have these things called phyllodes. So if you see an acacia with a flatty sort of longy thing, actually they're not always flat, sometimes they're short, sometimes they're round, they have a remarkable diversity, but something that vaguely looks to you like a leaf like that is a phyllodes. Some acacias have got other feathery type leaves. I don't have any now, but in a further episode, hopefully I'll talk to you a bit more about that. Okay, so a phyllodes is a modified petiole. So, there you have it. These two leaves here, the Wilkia and the Banksia, have these little pointy things along the edge. In botany, they're called teeth. So you can mark them if you have any leaves that have those sort of teeth. And as we're looking at this flame tree again, this has got really big, like the it's got projections coming out the sides. They're called lobes. So if you've got a leaf like that, it's a lobed leaf. In comparison, the eucalypt leaf hasn't got teeth, hasn't got lobes. Its margin is smooth and sort of continuous. We call that an entire margin in botany. So just a few more leaf features you might want to add. If you're wondering about that thing on the end of the acacia leaf, look, I've drawn it. I don't know what it is, but it's really good to draw things when you see them. And then later on, if you're looking through a book or online or something, you might see that and think, oh, that's what that thing is. So maybe I'll find that later. You can also, we've gone out of focus. You can also, of course, add colour to these leaves if you want. Might do that in a further episode. But for the moment, just explore some leaves, notice how different they are, and see how many different ones you can find in your own local area. And most importantly, enjoy your nature journaling and have fun. Okay, see you next time.